welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. This week we shall be discussing the IPL jinx. Is this high profile game actually under a jinx? Because whether it is legal trouble, financial trouble, some trouble or the other has forsaken the IPL owners. To discuss this with me, I have a very good panel. We have Mr. Sandeep Bamzai, senior journalist, Dilip Cherian, image guru, Alam Srinivasan, author of 2 books on the IPL Cricket and Commerce and the Cricket Czars, and also Pranjal Sharma, who is consulting editor with the Business World. Sandeep, I'll begin with you. Is there a jinx on the IPL? Is it cursed?
I call it the curse of the IPL. Look at the original set of owners and look at what has happened to them. So, all these guys were chosen, handpicked by Lalit Modi and given franchises. So, whether it's Vijay Mallya, whether it's Ram Reddy of the original 8, whether it's Suresh Chelaram, Manoj Badale of Rajasthan Royals, and then subsequently Raj Kundra, whether it's N. Srinivasan and Gurunath Mayappan, his son-in-law, whether it's Rosy Blue Diamond and Satyajit Gaikwad, the people who entered subsequently with the Kochi franchise, whether it's Sunanda Pushkar, who unfortunately and mysteriously died. The list is as long as my arm. So
Sunanda's not a owner on record. Don't forget the spread equity.
So there's definitely a curse, and I think what is even more important is the fact that the richest and most powerful people have fallen prey to this curse. So somebody like Srinivasan, who pretty much appropriated Indian cricket and kicked out Lalit Modi, ultimately fell by the wayside just as Lalit Modi did. So Mallya is probably the latest in the long line of people who are cursed by the IPL. Yes, very, very much so.
Dilip, why is that? The stakes are so high that people are gambling more than they can afford.
IPL is essentially a gambler's game. Let's not sort of beat around the bush on that. And what Sandeep said is right, that each of them looks cursed, but there is a kind of person who is attracted to ownership of the game, of this thing, because there are clearly, shall I say, attendant benefits to being a team owner, besides the fact that it satisfies egos, and people tend to take, there is a similar thing which goes in terms of presidentship of one of the largest industry bodies, and the curse goes that anyone who gets there, their corporate turnover takes a dip for the next 2 years.
My God.
Okay? Now, the fact is that this kind of thing takes away critical mass of management time, and it attracts a certain kind of thing. So you combine the two and it's pretty explosive.
But I want to add another owner who unfortunately is in jail. His name is Subrato Roy.
Saharashri, yes, let's not forget him.
So let's not forget him. And he's been in jail for 2 years now this March. So he's another classic example of the curse of the IPL.
Any more people heading towards Saharashri's way?
I hope not. But I think the entire philosophy of IPL as a concept was flawed and manipulated right from day one. So if you look at the team owners and the players selection and the manner in which IPL evolved, everything was kind of fixed. So it was a fixed league rather than anything else. And so it's so much of a coincidence that Vijay Mallya, who is based in Bangalore, gets the Bangalore team. Mukesh Ambani, based in Bombay, gets the Bombay team. Ram Reddy, based in Hyderabad, gets the Hyderabad team. GMR, who has an airport in Delhi, gets the Delhi team. Manoj Badale, friend of Lalit Modi, and Suresh Chelaram, related to him, get Rajasthan, where he was the RCH Association's president. So everything was fixed. And when you fix the system is bound to rip apart. The system cannot function together. The system only stays together when everybody stays together and everybody helps each other. But the moment Lalit Modi was ejected, was kicked out by N. Srinivasan, the system fell apart. Because then another person was trying to appropriate the system and build a new system on top of that. So the old system had to give away. And when the old system will give away, it will have an impact and implications on everybody, whether it's the players, whether it's the team owners, whether it's administrators, whether whatever. The second problem with IPL was that right from day one, there were huge conflicts of interest. There were conflicts of interest within the administrators, between administrators and team owners, between team owners and players, between players and BCCI, between commentators and BCCI of IPL, between former players and IPL team. So the conflict of interest was so kind of spread across that again it gives rise to things falling apart when the guy who's controlling the entire system goes away. So Modi controlled the entire system, and the moment he walked away, it fell apart. Srinivasan controlled the whole system when he built a new system. When he walked away, the system collapsed. So I think those are the two major intrinsic problems with IPL.
Anil, do you agree it's really one person holding it together and the cog, he's the cog and the wheel is running around him? Or the
Sure,
other way
but
around?
I think again the intentions of why it was created, it's when you say curse or when you say that whether IPL was crooked and everybody jumped into a dirty pool and they got dirty, or was it clean and dirty people got in and then the pool got dirty, we don't know. But in my view, it's been a play for vanity, people who wanted to buy fame, people who wanted to buy respect. It became a plaything for the rich and the famous who had nothing better to do than to buy some space and attach themselves to a sport which almost every Indian loves. So I think the game has been used by people who are very venal about the way they wanted to use it. It's also very clear that it's not just that the game is crooked, it's that crooked people got into it to make use of it, not just for their fame but also to make money off it or launder it. If you look at the valuations and the return on investment for the kind of money they're putting into this, what is the return that they're getting? So while you talked about management bandwidth, the question is that any sensible board will question, why are you putting money into buying a team? Companies have gone almost bankrupt. They are either using it to make money somewhere else. So why is that almost everybody who's in trouble is being questioned by the enforcement directorate, which looks at money laundering cases? So there is a very clear pattern that people who entered it did not have the best interest of cricket in mind. They had their own interest, either vanity or to make sure that they make some money off it.
Suddenly, do you agree? But we're talking about the glamour of the game. The glamour is very crucial to the selling of IPL. What is IPL without the glamour?
Yeah, but understand the nature of the beast. When the underlying credo of a particular platform is commerce, and hence Indian Paisa League and not Indian Premier League, then automatically all sorts of shenanigans take place. So if you look at the history of the IPL and if you look at how it was conceived, the kind of people who got involved, the way cricket in India changed its character. Now look at the BCCI. The BCCI is registered as a charitable organization under the Tamil Nadu Societies Act. When did its problems really begin? It was always an autonomous body. It always told the government where it could get off. Its problems began when, from the development of the game, it began to make money off the game, which is when IPL was constructed. So the very construct of IPL is linked to commerce. And the moment commerce comes in, greed comes in. The moment greed comes in, envy comes in.
But Sandeep, I'll add to what he's saying. He's right. The problem with that is also lack of transparency. Now you can do all this. You can create leagues in several games. And today one of the biggest issues globally, Priya, and it should also be linked to what's happening at FIFA, is the transparency and financial integrity in sports. Financial integrity in sports has been undermined at FIFA, and the same thing is happening in BCCI.
Kabaddi League is so successful in India. It is now played twice a year, mind you. Kabaddi, not cricket. Kabaddi is played twice a year. Why is it that the badminton league is successful?
And a wrestling league which we have
Why
launched.
is it that there is a wrestling league? You don't have any problems with any of these. So when you have a secret society, which is what Indian Paisa League was by the nature of its construct, that secret society never ever had any sort of corporate governance or transparency or anything else that these same companies or corporates were supposedly practicing in their companies.
Also, it's a child of BCCI.
Jinx,
Yeah.
Part of the reason why the jinx is because then therefore it attracts a certain kind of person who is either comfortable there or hopes to utilize the opportunities which are embedded in that kind of a structure, which is fixed and as Alam said. So I think that if you look at why the owners are in this trouble, because a certain kind of owner gravitates towards ownership, you know.
So
Certain kind of business.
also understand the cronyism that exists. So you have Mohit Burman being given a team. Mohit Burman is Lalit Modi's. I mean, it goes. It's like
There's a Venn diagram with Lalit Modi in the middle. And
Everything
everybody-
is connected. Suresh Chelaram is connected to him because he's his brother-in-law. Mohit Burman is connected to him because his stepdaughter is married to Mohit Burman's brother. So that list is, you know, it's
But
so
Alam,
long.
this should have actually worked in the favor, because when this is what makes crony capitalism work. Now everybody sab uske andar hai, so people keep quiet about it.
Honor among relatives.
No, actually, see, that's what I
And it's
tried to.
relative honor.
That's what I tried to explain earlier. That crony capitalism or a system like this works when everybody is in it together.
Right.
You rip apart even a minute portion of it, some cracks will develop.
So
You rip
Modi was
That's what he
replaced by
says.
Srinivasan, and that's
So
the
Srinivas tried
problem.
to create a new
different
system.
That's what the problem.
So
that's what
then
the
when you
problem
try
we
and
have.
create a new system, then you have to dismantle
Yeah.
the old one and you build a new one. Then Srinivasan goes away, then you dismantle the system. And when you build a system around crony capitalism, where that is your core philosophy, then as everybody else was saying, you attract a certain kind of entrepreneur, you attract a certain kind of investor who wants to become a part of a crony capitalist system. So his intentions automatically are not very clean, or at least theoretically it should not be very clean. So when you have a man like that coming into the game, obviously a man like that will kind of try to take more honey than he's supposed to or he wants to.
But Priya, IPL, and what Alam is saying is right. IPL is the child of BCCI, which is even less transparent. I mean, it's probably the least transparent organization and perhaps the richest in the country. Now, why shouldn't a society, even if it is registered as a society, should not be transparent? Why shouldn't its account be open? On what basis are they giving out? Let the processes be known, let the source of funding be known, let there be open bidding. So, you know, everything is done in such a non-transparent manner that it will obviously lead to people trying to make the most of it. So, and the people who really have the interest of the game in their heart, they will not enter it because they know how murky it is. They don't stand a chance. It's like what happened in the 2G spectrum allocation. It was a prefixed game. When you did a 3G spectrum allocation and auction on the internet and online auction, there was never a murmur of corruption. There is a whole lot of corruption around IPL because it is just so non-transparent. You and I, with all our lawsuits and public interest litigations, won't be able to find out because they will claim some kind of prevention against asking questions.
And it is, you know, this curse is not limited just to the owners.
The players.
It goes way beyond. No, Kunal Dasgupta, the man who did the deal between BCCI and Sony Broadcasting, he lost his job overnight. In a palace putsch, one morning he was knocked out. Sundar Raman, Chirayu Amin, who became IPL commissioner, suddenly fell sick and decided not to participate anymore. So that list carries on. Lalit Modi himself,
Says he's been ousted.
N. Srinivasan himself. You know, at the core or the kernel of everything which is wrong with the BCCI is the IPL.
It's a manifestation.
Yeah.
And remember, you know, Priya, that
So,
there are some people asking questions about it. So the broadcasters, sports broadcasters have a responsibility, and the sponsors. So Pepsi pulled out because they did not want to be associated with a series which was under so much of cloud. They are helping some of the other aspects of cricket, but not IPL. More of these marketers and sponsors and sport broadcasters have a responsibility to demand transparency in IPL.
So Dilip, this is really getting to be a very neat little palace court sort of drama, you know, knives out at midnight, people, suddenly a new head comes in. I mean, how do you see this whole carrying on? Because IPL is still a success, people are hooked onto it, so what do we do?
You see, the fact that people are hooked onto it is part of the extended appeal of cricket.
The game.
And the fact that also it is so instantaneous, plus the unspoken about issue of betting. Okay, it's such a convenient game to play with. Okay, so I think there is that excitement. The younger generation loves instant results, so they tend to gravitate towards this, which is why there's still a pull for it, both in terms of owners as well as in terms of sponsors. But what Pranjal said is right, that as you go towards corporate sponsors, they're going to ask some hard questions about how various things are functioning, and they'll also be extremely sensitive image-wise, to being associated with something where they'll get scalded for no purpose, for no reason.
And exactly.
So who? Sorry. Huh.
So, you know, FIFA again is a great example. Everything which is wrong with BCCI was wrong with FIFA at maybe tenfold level. Sepp Blatter had to be, you know, really literally pushed out. He was like the president of BCCI. You know, they had to drag him out kicking and screaming. But once the axe fell, look at the way FIFA is being cleaned, and everybody is getting involved, because it was also linked to terror funding and lots of other problems arose out of it. Sorry, you were saying.
No, are you saying Srinivasan is out, Lalit Modi is out? So who is the new system rather? Is it Rajiv Shukla? Is it?
It's still being built. I think old people and the new people are getting together. So Rajiv Shukla apparently has a finger in the pie. He wants more fingers. So there are other people who want to kind of come back. Former players now see an opportunity because of the Lodha committee report and the recommendations that he has given to clean up BCCI. I don't think it will work, but those are the recommendations. But I think we need to talk more about the transparency.
Okay.
I think let me give you just 2 or 3 examples to show how non-transparent IPL and BCCI is and was. So all files related to IPL were kept with Lalit Modi in his hotel suite. He would sign, all files would be signed in that suite. Nobody knew what was happening. The files would go back to the IPL Governing Council much later, or not go at all. Some files would go to the BCCI working committee if they ever went. Nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew to what decision was taken. It was just kind of imposed to them. And Srinivas, when he was the treasurer, insisted that I have to sign all the checks. When he became the secretary, he said, I have to sign all the checks. When he became the president, he said, I have the veto power over any check signing. No check can be given without me. So he kept his hand fixed on the financial. Nobody knew what was happening. You look at the whole thing about IPL held in South Africa, which is now a case of ED, and the RBI permission was not taken. Decisions were taken without any rhyme or reason, without any meetings, without, even when somebody insisted, let's take a permission, they were overruled and decisions were taken. So, and Lalit Modi would sign, like I remember a case where he signed the second time when he signed the telecast deal with Sony. He signed it at 4 a.m. in the morning because 10 o'clock was a court hearing. So he had to sign the agreement so that he could go to the court and say, we have signed an agreement, so there can't be a hearing. We've already taken a decision. So that's why he sat the entire night and made those 2 parties sign the deal. Now, before the court hearing begins. So that was the kind of transparency that was there.
Okay, we need to take a quick break, but after that we're going to come back and discuss more about the IPL jinx and also the kind of palace intrigue that goes on behind the scenes. So stay with us. Welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are discussing the curse of the IPL. Sandeep, before we went on a break, Alam was giving us some interesting anecdotes about the kind of intrigue and the way IPL is really run behind the scenes. Can you add to that? You also have an inside view.
Let's also understand where we are now. Thanks to 8-9 years of IPL. You have 2 police investigations which are open, Delhi Police and Mumbai Police. Okay. You have ED investigations against several of the franchises, including Kolkata Knight Riders, where the owner has been questioned for 8 hours at an end. You have the Supreme Court looking at the BCCI. You have Justice Mudgal giving his recommendations.
But yet the game goes on.
Not just the game. It is that old concept.
The gaming.
The old concept of Mahmood ka topi Ahmed ko and Ahmed ka topi Mahmood ko. So the same lot of guys are still involved in cricket administration, both in the IPL and the BCCI. Some of the names that were mentioned before we went in for a break, they've always been part of the game. It is the same guys who have closed ranks once again against any interloper. And this process will continue. Cleansing of the audience tables is impossible till you actually physically evict each and every one of them, which is what Justice Mudgal has been recommending. But they're going to stall. And they've already filed cases, they've already filed petitions. So you can't clean this thing. To clean it, you have to evict them. Only then will you have any element of transparency. Otherwise, you won't have any transparency. We'll keep talking like this endlessly. Cows will come home, they'll go away again, nothing will happen.
Are you as pessimistic as him?
I think what Justice Lodha has said needs to be looked at and implemented. And I think that if anybody, see, the problem is that the ownership of the game rests with BCCI. BCCI is not interested in improving the game. So, and as far as either the players or the hapless victims who watch the game are concerned, they have almost no voice. So the Supreme Court is actually battling with an established monolith which has control of every aspect of the game, and they can go endlessly delaying it in the manner that Sandeep said.
I was speaking to some BCCI official, and he says don't blame the individuals. I mean, don't blame the game for acts of a few individuals. So he's saying it's the personal acts of a Vijay Mallya or a Sahara Shri or even the Punjab people.
How do you justify the fixing of the matches then? The match between Rajasthan Royals and Chennai Super Kings, I mean, even if you're blind, deaf and dumb, you can see that the damn thing is fixed. How do you justify the fixing? How do you justify calls being made by bookies to Gurunath Mayappan? If you look at the police investigations and you read the fine print, you cannot ignore anything. If you ignore that, you ignore it at your own peril. They have clearly documented what went on, and we are allowing all those elephants and camels to be brushed under the carpet. And we are moving on.
Elephants, camel, Mehmood, Ahmad, what do we do?
I mean, it's bizarre. It's actually, at one level, okay, I called it the secret society, but it's also the theatre of the absurd, where it continues. The drama continues. And you have to be at an auction to know how it works. I don't know whether any of you have attended an auction. I've attended 3 or 4. You have to be at the auction.
So tell us, give us the inside
It's a circus. It's the same, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z, his cronies, everybody's running around in circles. Look at Vijay Mallya himself. He attended the auction in Feb when he was supposedly a wanted man. He was sitting with a new mohawk haircut on his phone talking to Virat Kohli and buying and selling players, yeah.
This is closest to slave trading that we have got in modern times. So basically what they're doing is buying and selling slaves, and then they're betting on their slaves to play like a gladiator over there to kill each other and to make money of them and get jollies of them.
Do you have the same harsh outlook as the others?
No, see, I think, as I said, the premise of IPL itself is not cricket, not just cricket. It is everything else, and cricket is just an add-on. So if that is the premise of the game, then you keep cricket out. And if other things become more important, then things will happen, manipulations will happen. Like he was talking about auctions, and the auctions were fixed. There was one single auction where every team owner was angry. They wrote letters to IPL and to Lalit Modi that this auction is fixed. You have just changed the mechanism of drawing of the lots just one day before the auction, and that is to help basically N. Srinivasan and CSK to buy a certain player who was not, because if he came in first, more people will have money to buy him. So if he came in last, only few people will have the money. And one of the teams which had money was CSK at that time.
I'll give you two stories. Ravinder Jadeja was actually banned from competing in the IPL because he went beyond his brief. Kyron Pollard's